The sky above the battlefield burned with strange colors mixing red and gold like a storm made of fire. Human soldier Liam stood among broken machines, his armor scratched and covered in dust. The war between humans and the Vayrans had lasted for years, but today he was alone. His unit had been separated after a blast from an alien energy cannon threw him miles away from his squad. The communication line was broken, and his locator showed only static. He walked slowly through the ruins of an old alien fortress. The air smelled sharp, almost metallic, and the ground vibrated now and then as if something deep under the surface was still alive. His boots crunched on shattered glass and pieces of old stone carvings that looked half-organic. Liam felt uneasy, but he had been trained to stay calm. He checked his rifle, looked around carefully, and followed a small energy signal blinking on his wrist screen. It came from deeper inside the ruins. As he moved through the broken corridors, he heard the sound of shouting in the distance. The voices were not human. They were high, almost musical, but filled with panic. He crouched low and moved closer. From behind a fallen pillar, he saw a group of armored alien guards chasing a woman who wore a silver cloak. She was fast but wounded, one hand pressing against her side. Liam noticed a dark arrow sticking out from her armor, glowing faintly with green smoke. The guards surrounded her, shouting something in their language. She turned, raised her hand, and a wave of blue light burst from her palm, throwing the nearest guard backward. But she stumbled and fell to her knees. Liam could see the poison spreading through the veins near the wound. Without thinking, he ran forward. The guards saw him and raised their weapons. He fired a warning shot into the air and shouted, "Stop!" They paused, unsure what to do. The woman looked up at him, her silver eyes wide with surprise. Liam dropped his rifle and raised both hands to show he meant no harm. He pointed at her wound, then to his medical kit. She nodded weakly. The guards hesitated but lowered their weapons when she made a small gesture with her hand. Liam knelt beside her. The poison had spread quickly, darkening her skin around the wound. He took out an injector and a vial of antitoxin from his kit. The substance inside was made for human biology, but he hoped it might help slow the poison. He gently broke the arrow's shaft and removed it. The woman winced, but did not cry out. He pressed a sterile pad on the wound, injected the antitoxin near the area, and began to draw out the poison using a suction tool. The green liquid hissed when it touched the open air. The woman's breathing slowed, and her body relaxed slightly. Her skin tone began to return to normal, though faint lines of light still moved under her skin like thin rivers. Liam looked at her face and was surprised by her calmness. She looked more human than he expected. Her silver eyes watched him closely, and her voice came out soft but clear. "You are human," she said in broken English. Liam nodded. "Yes. Try not to move. The poison is almost out." She tilted her head slightly. "Why help me? We are enemies." Liam gave a small shrug. "You needed help. That's reason enough." Her expression changed, almost like she was trying to understand something beyond words. The guards behind them watched silently. When Liam finished cleaning the wound, he covered it with a patch and used his scanner to check her vitals. The reading was stable. She sat up slowly and looked at the arrow. Her fingers brushed the blackened tip. "This is no rebel weapon," she murmured in her own tongue. "It comes from the Royal Foundry." Liam could not understand her words, but he could see the pain in her face, not from the wound but from realization. She stood with difficulty, and the guards quickly came forward to support her. One of them spoke into a communicator, calling for a transport ship. The woman turned to Liam again. "What is your name?" she asked. "Liam," he replied. "Private Liam Hayes, Earth Defense Corps." She looked thoughtful, then said softly, "I am Sorel, Queen of Veyra." The title struck him like a shock. He had just saved the life of the enemy ruler. He opened his mouth to speak, but before he could, a silver ship appeared above the ruins. It descended with a low hum, shining under the red sky. The guards guided the queen toward the ship, but she paused and looked back at Liam. Her gaze held something he could not define: gratitude, confusion, and maybe a little respect. She raised her hand slightly, a gesture that stopped the guards from taking any action against him. "Bring him," she ordered. Liam was surrounded by alien soldiers, but not roughly handled. They led him onto the ship, where the air was cool and filled with a faint blue mist. The inside looked like a living creature made of metal and crystal. The ship lifted off smoothly, and Liam saw the battlefield below shrinking to dust. He sat quietly as healers surrounded the Queen. They used glowing instruments to scan her body. One of them gasped when they saw the antitoxin mark on her arm. "Human medicine," one whispered in disbelief. Yet the scanner showed improvement. The poison was breaking apart faster than expected. The Queen turned her head slightly toward Liam. "Your medicine works," she said. Liam nodded, still trying to understand what was happening. "I'm glad it helped." A few moments later, the ship landed on a large platform surrounded by shining towers that floated in the air. The city of Vera Prime spread below like a sea of glass and light. Liam followed the guards out of the ship, feeling every eye on him. The people stared in silence as the Queen was carried past. To them, he was an intruder, yet the Queen's calm expression kept them from acting. Inside the palace, the halls were filled with soft light and moving patterns. Liam had never seen such beauty. The walls seemed alive, responding to sound and movement. He was brought to a grand chamber where healers continued to work on the Queen. He stood nearby, unsure if he should stay. After some time, one healer approached him. "Her life was saved because of your action," the healer said slowly, choosing the right words in English. "The poison used was deadly even to our kind. Your serum neutralized it in minutes. This has never happened before." Liam frowned. "Maybe our biochemistry isn't so different." The healer nodded thoughtfully. "Perhaps. Or perhaps there is more to humans than we know." Hours passed. The Queen rested while Liam waited under guard. When she finally woke, she asked that he be brought closer. He stepped forward and bowed slightly, unsure of what to say. "Liam," she said, her voice calm but firm, "you risked your life to save mine. That act cannot be ignored." "I only did what anyone would do," he answered. "Not everyone would help their enemy," she replied. "You showed honor, and perhaps the universe brought you here for a reason." He had no answer to that. Her words carried a strange weight, something almost prophetic. She looked at her guards and said, "He will not be treated as a prisoner. He is a guest of the crown." The guards looked shocked but obeyed. They lowered their weapons and bowed. Liam felt uneasy. Being called a guest in an alien palace did not feel like safety, yet he could sense that the Queen's decision was final. Later that night, when the palace lights dimmed and the city outside glowed under twin moons, Liam stood on a balcony overlooking the alien world. He thought about his squad, about Earth, and about the strange turn his life had taken. Behind him, a soft voice spoke. "Do you regret saving me?" He turned and saw Queen Sorel standing at the doorway, dressed in white robes. The mark from the poison was almost gone. "No," Liam said simply. "Life is life. Doesn't matter where it's from." She studied him for a long moment. "Then you are different from most I have met." They stood in silence as the night wind moved through the crystal towers. In that quiet moment, neither of them knew that what happened today would soon change both their worlds forever. For now, the human who dropped a poisoned arrow to save a queen had unknowingly started a story that would echo through galaxies. Morning light shone through the tall crystal windows of the Veyron Palace. The city below shimmered like a sea of glass, with flying ships moving in perfect patterns above silver towers. Liam stood on the balcony of his chamber, wearing the simple gray uniform given to him by the palace staff. He had been there for 3 days since saving Queen Sorel. Each morning began with questions from the royal advisors and ended with polite but watchful silence. The aliens treated him with caution. Some bowed slightly, showing respect, while others looked at him as if he did not belong. He understood their fear. For them, humans were still enemies, a species known for their strength and stubbornness. Yet the Queen's order protected him, and no one dared disobey her. Liam spent his days inside the palace learning small things about the alien culture. The Varans were graceful and calm people. They believed in balance between science and nature. Their buildings seemed alive, grown rather than built, with walls that pulsed gently like the skin of a living being. The palace servants told him that the city itself was made from biometal that responded to emotion and sound. When someone laughed, the walls shimmered faintly. When there was anger, the lights dimmed. That morning, a soft sound filled his room. A round silver device floated near the door and projected a message. The voice was smooth and warm. "The Queen invites you to the garden hall." Liam straightened his jacket and followed two guards down a long hallway filled with moving light. They reached a giant door that opened silently. Inside was a garden unlike anything he had ever seen. Trees glowed softly, their leaves transparent like glass. Water flowed through air, forming ribbons that sparkled as they moved. Strange birds with crystal feathers flew between the branches, singing in soft tones. Queen Sorel stood near a fountain shaped like a star. She was dressed in a flowing white gown that caught the light and scattered it around her. When she turned, her silver eyes met his, calm yet full of hidden strength. "Good morning, Liam," she said. "I hope you're being treated well." Liam bowed slightly. "Yes, Your Majesty. Everyone has been kind, though a little careful." She smiled. "They do not understand you yet, but they will." They walked slowly through the garden. Liam noticed that the plants seemed to move slightly toward her, as if drawn by her presence. The air smelled fresh and soft. Sorel stopped beside a glowing flower and looked at it with gentle eyes. "This flower was brought from the edge of our world. It blooms only once every 100 years. The day you saved me, it began to open again. Some of my people believe such things are signs." Liam did not know what to say. He had never been good with such things. "I was only trying to help," he said quietly. "Sometimes the simplest act has the greatest meaning," she replied. "Your medicine worked when ours failed. My healers are still studying it. They believe your blood changed the effect of the poison." Liam frowned slightly. "I didn't do anything special. Maybe our biology reacted in a way you didn't expect." "Perhaps," she said softly. "But I think there is more to it. Your kind may carry something we lost long ago. Instinct, compassion, courage." Liam looked at her. "You sound like you have been studying humans for some time." "I have," she said. "I have read your history, your struggles, and your hopes. I wanted peace with Earth, but my council did not agree. They feared humans would destroy what we built. When the arrow struck me that day, I realized how deep that fear runs." Her voice held sadness, but also quiet strength. Liam listened without interrupting. She continued, "The poison used against me was forbidden by law. It was not made by rebels, as the guards claimed. It came from within the palace. Someone wanted me gone before I could sign the peace treaty." Liam's eyes narrowed. "You're saying someone close to you tried to kill you?" Sorel nodded slowly. "Yes, and that is why I wanted to see you today. You saved my life without knowing who I was. That means I can trust you more than many who stand beside me every day." Liam was silent for a moment. He felt the weight of her words. "What do you need me to do?" "Nothing yet," she said. "For now, I only want you to be honest with me. Tell me about your world, your people, and what drives them to fight." Liam walked with her through the shining trees. "Humans fight because they fear losing what they have," he said. "Sometimes it's land, sometimes it's pride, and sometimes it's just survival. We've done many wrong things, but we also try to do right when we can." The Queen listened carefully. "And what do you believe, Liam?" He thought for a moment. "I believe peace is possible when both sides stop looking for enemies and start looking for understanding." Sorel smiled softly. "Then you see the world much like I do." They reached a small bridge that crossed a floating stream of light. The water hung in midair, forming circles around them. For a moment, it was quiet except for the soft hum of energy flowing through the garden. "You know," Liam said, "on Earth people would not believe this place is real. They would think it is a dream." "Maybe it is a dream," she said, "one that we must keep alive." They walked back to the fountain. A servant approached and handed Sorel a small crystal device. She placed it on her wrist and it projected an image of several alien nobles waiting in a chamber. Their faces were serious. "It seems the council wants to meet sooner than expected," she said. "They will not be pleased that I brought a human into the palace." Liam nodded. "If my presence causes trouble, I can leave." Sorel turned sharply toward him. "No, you will stay. They must see that you are not a threat." You saved my life, and that truth must not be hidden. Her tone carried authority that even her guards respected. Later that day, the Queen and Liam entered the Grand Council chamber. The room was shaped like a circle with high walls covered in symbols that glowed faintly. 12 nobles sat in floating chairs, their robes lined with silver threads. When they saw Liam, their expressions hardened. One of them spoke first. "Your Majesty, we question why this human stands beside you." Sorel raised her chin. "He stands beside me because he saved my life." Another noble said, "A coincidence of survival does not make him an ally. He is still a soldier of Earth. His presence may invite danger." Liam stood silently. He did not speak unless asked. Sorel replied, "Danger already lives among us. The arrow that struck me was made by one of our own. Would you rather I trust a traitor instead of the one who showed mercy?" The room fell silent. No one dared answer. Finally, the eldest noble spoke. "If this human truly carries a cure against such poison, perhaps his presence can serve our study. But he must remain under guard." Sorel looked at Liam, then at the council. "He will stay as my guest. That is my decision." The council bowed their heads, accepting her word even if they did not agree. After the meeting, Liam followed her back to the garden. The Queen seemed thoughtful. "They fear change," she said softly. "But I will not let fear rule us." Liam said quietly, "You have more courage than most leaders I've seen." She smiled faintly. "Perhaps, or perhaps I have nothing left to lose." The evening light turned golden. The garden glowed as small crystal insects flew between the trees. Liam noticed that the mark on her arm where the poison had been was shining faintly again. He reached out instinctively, and when his fingers brushed her skin, the glow softened and faded. The Queen looked surprised. "Your touch calms it," she said. "Our healers said the poison might leave traces forever, yet when you are near, it weakens." Liam stepped back slightly. "Maybe it reacts to my energy." She nodded slowly, still watching him with curious eyes. "You are a mystery, Liam Hayes." He smiled lightly. "Most humans are." That night, the Queen stood at her window looking at the stars. Far below, the city lights moved like rivers of silver. She thought about the man who had saved her without fear. The one who now stood as both guest and key to her empire's future. Somewhere deep in her heart, she knew his arrival had changed more than just her fate. It had awakened something her people had forgotten. The belief that even in the middle of war, kindness could still shape destiny. The palace of Vera Prime glowed under a soft blue sky. It looked peaceful from the outside, but inside its walls, tension was rising. Queen Sorel had returned to her royal duties, yet she carried quiet concern in her heart. The wound from the poisoned arrow had healed, but its mystery still troubled her. The council avoided speaking about it, and her advisors acted as if the attack had never happened. Liam lived in a separate section of the palace, guarded but free to walk in the open areas. Every day, curious servants and scholars came to watch him. Some wanted to see the human who had saved the Queen. Others wanted to study him, wondering if his blood truly had strange healing power. But the Queen protected him from being treated as a test subject. She had given a clear order. "No one touches him without my permission." Liam respected her authority, yet he could sense her unease. One evening, she sent a quiet message through a floating device. "Meet me in the observatory after sunset." When he arrived, the room was dim and filled with stars projected across the ceiling. Sorel stood by a large window, looking out at the floating city lights. Her silver eyes reflected the stars like mirrors. "You wanted to see me, Your Majesty?" Liam asked. She turned slowly and nodded. "Yes, I have something to tell you, but I cannot trust everyone around me. Someone inside this palace tried to end my life. I believe the poison was made by a member of the Royal Council." Liam listened carefully. "Do you know who it might be?" "Not yet," she said. "But I have found clues. The arrow you removed was made of rare black crystal. Only the Royal Foundry has the tools to craft such weapons. The poison was an ancient one, forbidden since the last Shadow War. Only a few people still know the formula." Liam looked thoughtful. "Then someone in your inner circle had to be involved." Sorel nodded. "Exactly. And that is why I must find the truth before the council meets again. They are preparing to end the peace talks with Earth. They claim it is to protect our people, but I know it is to protect their power." Liam took a slow breath. "How can I help?" The Queen looked at him with calm confidence. "You have already helped once. Now I need you to help again. My aid, Terran will guide you to the lower chambers where the Foundry records are stored. I cannot go there myself without drawing attention. Liam agreed without hesitation. That night, dressed in plain clothes given to him by the Queen, he followed Terran through hidden passages that ran beneath the palace. The air grew colder and darker as they descended. Glowing vines on the walls gave faint light. The tunnels were old, built long before the new palace rose above the clouds. Terran was a quiet alien with soft blue skin and narrow eyes. He spoke little but moved with purpose. "We must be careful," he whispered. "If the wrong eyes see us, we will vanish before morning." They reached a large door covered with old symbols. Terran placed his hand on a scanner and the door opened with a low hum. Inside was the Foundry archive. Shelves of metal tablets floated in the air, each glowing with data. Liam looked around in amazement. "This is incredible," Terran nodded. "Every weapon, every experiment, every piece of forbidden science is recorded here. We will find the arrow's signature." They searched the archive until Terran stopped near a console. He placed the arrowhead Liam had kept from that day into a small slot. The machine lit up and projected lines of alien text into the air. Terran translated quickly. "This was made 5 weeks ago under the order of High Counselor Varen." Liam frowned. "Is he the one who spoke against me at the meeting?" "Yes," Terran said. "He fears humans. He says our Queen is blinded by emotion. He was also the one who ordered the closure of the peace mission to Earth." Liam clenched his fist. "Then it's him. He tried to remove her so he could take control." Terran nodded again but looked uneasy. "We need proof before we speak. Without proof, he will turn the council against her. And against you." Before they could leave, the door behind them opened. 2 guards entered, their armor shining in the dim light. "What are you doing here?" one demanded. Terran tried to explain, but the guards aimed their weapons. Liam acted quickly, pushing Terran behind a column and ducking as a beam of blue energy hit the wall beside him. Sparks flew. He grabbed a metal rod from the floor and swung it against the guard's weapon arm. The weapon fell, and Terran pressed a control that filled the room with blinding light. When the light cleared, the guards lay stunned on the floor. Terran looked at Liam in surprise. "You fight like you were born for it." Liam smiled slightly. "I just learned to survive." They left quickly, locking the archive door behind them. By the time they reached the upper levels, the Queen was waiting in her private chamber. She looked relieved to see them alive. "What did you find?" she asked. Terran handed her a small crystal chip. "Proof the record of the arrow's creation. It bears Counselor Varen's code." Sorel took the chip and placed it into her wrist device. The projection showed a log entry written by Varen himself. It authorized the crafting of Arrow 17P with toxin mixture K21, classified as Royal Prototype. Her hands tightened around the device. "So it was true." Liam stepped closer. "What will you do now?" "I will confront him at the next council session," she said. "But I must be wise. If he senses my plan too early, he will erase all evidence and claim I lie." Terran bowed slightly. "Your Majesty, he already suspects we know. The guards found us in the archive." Surreal's eyes flashed. "Then we have no time." The next morning, the palace buzzed with energy. The Queen summoned the council to an emergency meeting. Liam stood hidden behind a silver curtain, watching silently. The 12 council members gathered around the circular table, unaware that their queen held proof in her hand. Surreal entered wearing her ceremonial armor. The light reflected off her crown, giving her an aura of calm authority. She looked at each counselor slowly before speaking. "One among you betrayed the crown," she began. "An arrow meant for my heart was forged inside this palace. I have the record of its creation." The counselors shifted uncomfortably. Varen leaned forward, pretending confusion. "Your Majesty, surely you do not mean to accuse one of us without cause." "I accuse only the guilty," Sorel said firmly. "This code belongs to you, Counselor Varen." Varen laughed softly. "You must be mistaken."
"Many codes look alike." Sorel raised her hand and the hologram appeared in the air.
It showed Varen signing the order himself. The council gasped. "You sought my death to end the peace I offered," she said. "You feared that humans would change our world. But it is not fear that preserves life. It is understanding." Varen's mask of calm broke. He stood quickly. "You think the people will follow you if you join with the enemy? They will turn against you." Sorel's voice stayed steady. "Then they will know their queen chooses truth over fear." The guards moved forward to arrest Varen. He struggled briefly, but saw there was no escape. As he was taken away, his words echoed across the chamber. You cannot save your throne by trusting a human. When the council session ended, Sorel turned toward the curtain. Liam, you may come out. He stepped forward, unsure if the others would accept him. The council bowed as the queen spoke again. Let this be remembered. The one who saved me also saved our world from a traitor. His courage brought light to the darkness within this palace. After the meeting, Sorel walked beside Liam through the long corridors. Her face looked tired but peaceful. The danger is not over, she said quietly. But today we began something new. Liam asked, do you think the others will ever trust humans? Perhaps not all, she said, but some will, and that will be enough to start peace. They reached the garden where sunlight fell through the glass leaves. The queen stopped beside the same flower that had bloomed the day he saved her. It glowed softly, brighter than before. Do you see this, Liam? She asked. When this flower opened, it meant life was returning to our world. Maybe it opened because you arrived. Liam smiled gently. Maybe it opened because someone chose to hope again. Sorel looked at him with quiet warmth. You speak as if you know my thoughts. I just know what hope feels like, he said. They stood together in silence as the garden shimmered around them. The storm of betrayal had passed, but a new story was beginning, one that would test loyalty, courage, and the strange bond between a human soldier and an alien queen who now trusted him more than anyone else in her world. The grand palace of Vera stood bright under the twin suns. The silver towers reflected the light like a mirror, and banners of blue silk moved in the warm wind. Inside the palace, people were preparing for the grand festival that would celebrate the queen's full recovery. The alien citizens came from across the empire to witness their leader's return. Musicians tuned their crystal instruments, and lights danced in the air as small drones flew around decorating the halls. Liam walked through the palace garden with Taryn by his side. The air was filled with the scent of golden flowers and a soft hum from the trees that glowed faintly with natural energy. He looked uneasy. His heart felt heavy, though everything around him seemed full of joy. He had been on this planet for weeks, living as an honored guest, yet he still felt like a visitor. The people respected him but also watched him carefully. He knew he did not belong here. Taryn noticed his silence and asked, You look troubled, Liam. Is the celebration not pleasing to you? Liam smiled politely. It is beautiful, Taryn. Your people know how to honor their queen. I just feel out of place. This world is not mine. Taryn nodded slowly. Perhaps not yet. But the queen sees something greater in you. You saved her life when no one else dared. That means something more than you realize. Liam shook his head. I only did what anyone would do. I saw someone in danger and I helped. Taryn looked at him with calm eyes. Not anyone would help a stranger from another world. That is what makes you different. Before Liam could reply, a royal guard approached. The queen requests your presence, human. Liam followed the guard through wide crystal corridors until they reached a large balcony that overlooked the city. Queen Sorel stood there wearing a long robe of silver and blue. Her crown shimmered with faint light and the wind played softly with her dark hair. When she turned to face him, her smile was warm. Liam, she said, her voice calm and strong, you look uncertain. Does the sight of celebration not bring you joy? He bowed slightly. It does, Your Majesty. I'm honored to be here, I just don't know what comes next. My world might think I'm gone forever. Sorel stepped closer, her eyes filled with understanding. You miss your home. I can feel it. But I also feel something else within you. Doubt, perhaps fear of what this moment means. Liam nodded. I don't understand why I'm still here. You are healed now. You have your people. You don't need me. Sorel's expression softened. You are wrong, Liam. I do need you. My people need you too, though they do not see it yet. You showed them that kindness has no border, that compassion can come from any heart, even one from another world. Before he could answer, the sound of music filled the air. The festival had begun. The queen smiled and said, Walk with me. They moved through the grand courtyard where thousands had gathered. The people bowed as Sorel passed and Liam followed behind her. The sky was painted with streams of light, and the air shimmered with the song of alien instruments. It was a moment of peace after weeks of tension. As they reached the main stage, Sorel raised her hand and the music stopped. Her voice echoed through the hall. My people, she began. We stand together today not only to celebrate my recovery, but also to remember the meaning of life itself. I was struck by poison and should have perished, but I was saved by a being many once called an enemy. This human Liam risked his life to save mine, the crowd murmured, eyes turning toward him. Some looked in awe, others in disbelief. Sorel continued, "For centuries we believed that humans were violent and selfish. Yet this man, alone and lost in our land, showed us the truth. His courage and compassion have opened a path I never thought possible." Liam stood quietly beside her, feeling every eye on him. The Queen's voice grew stronger. "And so I make a choice. Our worlds have lived in distance long enough. It is time for unity. It is time for peace." The hall erupted in applause and gasps. Some shouted in approval, others whispered in worry, but Sorel was not finished. She took a deep breath and turned toward Liam. "And to begin this unity, I choose to make a bond of trust and honor. Liam, the man who saved me, I offer you my hand, not only as a sign of gratitude, but as a promise of alliance." The air fell silent. The meaning of her words was clear. It was more than thanks. It was a proposal, a gesture that could bind two species together. Liam froze. His heart pounded. He had faced danger before, but never something like this. He looked at her eyes, calm and sincere, and felt a strange warmth rise inside him. "Your Majesty," he said softly, "I am not sure I deserve this. I'm just a soldier, not someone of power or wisdom." Sorel smiled gently, "And that is exactly why you deserve it. You act not for reward, but for what is right. That is the strength my people need. That is the truth my empire must learn." Around them the crowd began to whisper louder. Some of the nobles looked furious, others amazed. Terran stood among them, watching carefully, his expression unreadable. Liam stepped back slightly. "Your people may not accept this. They might see it as weakness." The Queen turned to face the crowd. Her voice rang clear and firm. "Then let them see. Let them witness that strength is not found in fear or hate, but in understanding. This man has no crown, no army, and yet he stood between death and me. If that is weakness, then I choose it proudly." The silence that followed was deep and powerful. Then slowly the crowd began to cheer. First a few, then hundreds, then thousands. The sound filled the sky. Liam felt his throat tighten. He had never seen anything like it. For the first time he realized the weight of his actions. One simple choice to save a life had changed an entire world. Sorel turned to him and said quietly, "Come with me." She led him away from the crowd into a quiet corridor that led to an ancient chamber deep beneath the palace. The walls glowed faintly with blue symbols, and the air felt charged with energy. "This place," she said, "is the vault of the ancients. Every ruler of Vera comes here to make their most important vow. It records truth and binds promises across time." Liam looked around in awe. The chamber was filled with floating crystals that reflected moments of history, wars, peace, and unity. Sorel stepped toward a glowing pedestal. "If you accept my offer," she said softly, "your name will be written in our records forever. You will stand beside me as a symbol of peace, not as my servant, but as my equal." Liam hesitated. "Sorel, I don't know if I'm ready for this. My world is far away. My people may not even know I'm alive." She turned and placed her hand gently over his. "Maybe you were never lost, Liam. Maybe you were meant to be here to remind us all what it means to be human." He looked into her eyes and felt calm for the first time in days. The weight of doubt slowly lifted. He nodded slowly. "If this brings peace, then I'll stand with you." The vault began to glow brighter, as if the walls themselves had heard his words. The ancient crystals spun slowly, and the air filled with a soft hum. A beam of light surrounded them both, sealing the promise. When they returned to the surface, the crowd was still cheering. The Queen raised Liam's hand beside hers, and the people bowed. For the first time, humans and Varans stood together as one. That night, as fireworks lit the alien sky, Liam stood on the balcony beside Sorel. He looked out over the shining city and said quietly, "I never thought saving someone would lead to this." Sorel smiled. "Every great change begins with a simple act of kindness. You did not only save me, Liam, you saved the hope of two worlds." He looked at her, and for a brief moment, both understood that their journey had just begun. The stars above shone brighter, as if the universe itself had accepted their choice. The human who once walked alone now stood beside a queen, and together, they would write a new chapter for both their worlds. End of Part 4. The morning light fell softly on the floating towers of Vera Prime. Birds with crystal feathers glided between the spires, and the twin suns reflected off the silver streets, creating pools of gold and blue light. Inside the palace, preparations for the Unity ceremony were nearly complete. Today, the citizens would witness a historic moment, one that would change the future of both Earth and Vera forever. Liam walked beside Queen Sorel through the palace halls. The air smelled of blooming flowers from the gardens, and faint music drifted from distant corridors. Despite the celebration, Liam felt a mixture of excitement and fear. He was about to take a step that would tie him forever to a world not his own. Sorel noticed his hesitation. "You seem troubled," she said softly. "Do you doubt yourself?" Liam shook his head slowly. "It's not doubt, Your Majesty. It's just, this is bigger than anything I have faced. I never imagined saving someone could lead to this. I don't know if I'm ready," she smiled gently. "Readiness is not always needed. Courage is enough. You have already proven that courage can save lives and change worlds. Now it can change history." They reached a large door at the end of the hall. It was made of black crystal and etched with ancient symbols that glowed faintly. Sorel placed her hand on a scanner and the door opened silently, revealing the vault of the ancients. The room inside was vast, filled with floating crystals that reflected every color of the sky. The walls were lined with glowing symbols telling stories of rulers long gone. "This is where our greatest promises are made," Sorel explained. "Every queen and king of Vera has come here to seal their choice. Their words and actions are recorded so that time itself will remember them." Liam stepped inside cautiously. He could feel the energy in the room. It was alive, almost like the crystals were watching him, sensing his thoughts and intentions. "It's beautiful," he whispered. Sorel walked to the center of the vault, where a large crystal pedestal floated above the floor. On it hovered a soft sphere of light that pulsed gently. "This is the orb of truth," she said. "When a vow is made here, it records not only the words but the intent and heart of the one who speaks. It shows possible futures depending on the choice made." Liam looked at the glowing sphere and felt a sense of awe. "Possible futures?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "It will show you what could happen if you accept my offer. It will also show what may happen if you do not. The visions are not exact, but they give a clear idea of the paths ahead." He swallowed hard. "And if I refuse?" Sorel's expression remained calm. "Then the peace we have begun may be delayed and the opportunity to unite our worlds might be lost. But no one will force you. The choice is yours." Liam nodded, his hand brushing slightly against hers. The touch was warm and comforting. "Then show me," he said softly. Sorel placed both hands on the sphere. It began to glow brighter, and soft images appeared in the air around them. Liam gasped as he saw visions of two worlds. In one, humans and Varans fought endlessly, distrust and fear growing until both sides suffered greatly. Cities burned and armies marched across barren lands. The sky was dark, filled with smoke and energy blasts. Then the scene shifted. In the second vision, humans and Varans worked together. Cities flourished, combining Earth's strength with Vera's technology. Ships moved through the sky in harmony, carrying goods, knowledge, and people. Children from both worlds played together in parks that floated above the clouds. Liam saw himself standing beside Sorel, smiling as leaders from both sides shook hands. "Both paths are possible," Sorel said softly. "The choice you make will influence which future becomes reality. Your courage and your heart can change everything." Liam looked down at his hands, feeling the weight of the decision. "I never thought saving someone could lead to this," he admitted. "I never imagined I could be part of something so important." Sorel stepped closer. "You already are. The moment you helped me, you became part of our story. Now you must decide if you will embrace it fully." He looked at her eyes, calm and steady. They reflected the twin suns above and the light of the glowing crystals around them. In that moment, he understood what she meant. His choice was not about power or titles. It was about trust, courage, and the chance to do what was right. Liam took a deep breath and placed his hand on the glowing sphere beside hers. A warm energy flowed through him. The vault seemed to hum with life, responding to his heartbeat. The visions of the future shifted slightly as if sensing his willingness. "I will stand with you," he said finally. "If this is the way to unite our worlds, then I accept." The orb pulsed brighter and the chamber filled with light. Symbols danced across the walls, recording the promise. Liam felt a sense of peace he had never known. The weight of doubt and fear melted away, replaced by determination. Sorel smiled, her hand still holding his. Then our story begins, she said. From this moment we are not only allies. We are a symbol of hope for both our people. The vault's energy settled, and the visions of the two worlds merged into one harmonious future. Liam saw humans and Varans working side by side, learning from each other, and building something greater than either could alone. The orb's light faded gently, leaving a soft glow in the chamber. They left the vault and returned to the surface. The palace courtyard was filled with citizens eagerly waiting for the Queen's announcement. When they saw Liam and Sorel together, a hush fell over the crowd. Sorel raised her hand and the crowd grew silent. People of Vera, she said. Today marks not only my recovery but also a new beginning. This human, Liam Hayes, has chosen to stand with me as a symbol of trust, courage, and unity. Together we will build a future where our worlds live in peace. The crowd erupted in cheers. Some bowed deeply, some clapped, and some simply stared in awe. Liam felt a mixture of pride and humility. He had never imagined being part of such a moment. As the celebration continued, Sorel took Liam's hand and led him to a quiet balcony overlooking the city. The twin suns were setting, casting a golden glow over the towers. The sky shimmered with colors that no human had ever seen. You did not just save my life, Sorel said softly. You saved the hope of two worlds. Your courage and heart have changed the course of history. Liam looked at her. I only did what I thought was right. But being here now, I understand how important it is. She smiled and touched his cheek gently. Sometimes the smallest acts lead to the greatest change. You proved that today. They stood together in silence, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The city below sparkled with life, and Liam felt a sense of belonging he had never known. Though he was far from Earth, he realized that he had found a new purpose, one that went beyond being a soldier or a guest. That night, as the festival lights filled the sky with color, Liam walked beside the Queen through the gardens. Children laughed and played, and the air was filled with music and joy. Everywhere he looked, he saw hope taking root. Sorel stopped beside a glowing fountain. Our journey is just beginning, she said. There will be challenges, and not everyone will accept this bond easily. But together we can face anything. Liam nodded. Then I will stay. I will help build this future with you. She looked at him with calm pride. And I will stand by your side, Liam Hayes. Not because you are human, but because you are brave, kind, and true. The night air was warm, and the lights of Vera Prime shimmered like stars on the ground. The human soldier and the alien queen walked together, their hands clasped, their hearts united. For the first time, Liam felt that he was not alone. He was part of something greater, a story of hope, courage, and unity that would be remembered for generations. And above all, he knew that one simple act of helping someone in need had led him here, to a place where two worlds could finally stand together. The future stretched before them, bright and full of promise. And together they would face it side by side as equals, friends and partners in a journey that would change the universe.